order this meeting of Plain Township Board of Trustees for Tuesday, February 11th. If everybody will stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before, just to get started, let the record reflect Mr. Farrar is excused this evening. That said, before us, we have the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections by fellow board members or department heads at this time? Seeing none and hearing none, the agenda will stand as presented. Starting off unfinished business, I'm going to turn that over to our administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. I have a resolution to amend Resolution 25-037 to accept the Oterma vehicle valuation claim.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Next, nothing on our new business. Next up is going to be the sheriff's report. And we're going to welcome our new Stark County Sheriff, Mr. Weisberg.
That's right.
Sheriff Weisberg.
Thank you, board administrators. Thank you for letting me be here tonight with you. As sheriff, I want to make sure that you understand that your township is very important to me. I want to make sure you're getting the services that you are paying for and your citizens deserve and expect out of us. I will make sure that that continues under my command, and if there's ever any questions or problems, you have my number. If you don't, you know my staff. You can get a hold of my number through them at any time. I'm going to turn this over to Lieutenant Hall, who has some information. I'm sorry, I should have turned around. Detective McAllister wants to fill you in on some things, but thank you for letting me address you.
Thank you.
All right, for the month of January, there were 747 calls of service, which is down a little over 10%. 74 crashes, down 3.9%. Crashes with injury were 8, down 38.4%. There were 84 alarms, that's up 47.4%. 153 traffic stops, up 16%. 141 citations, up 6.8%, and 46 arrests, up 15%. There were 335 vacation checks. I have, for the month of January, have 5 cases assigned and have closed 5 cases, 2 felony thefts, 1 receiving stolen property, 1 shooting, and 1 child abuse. I think that was it.
Anybody have questions?
Good job.
No.
Close
Thank you.
cases.
So the next.
We don't usually have too much on the agenda, but here we are.
No.
All right, so the next thing on for item number 2, I had drafted a letter to the board. You guys had a chance to look that over. We don't have a resolution at this time, not a formal resolution. The program that we're looking to move forward with is called CAPE, the Motorola. It's for live streaming from our drones. Also has some other software that'll keep our drone records, keep our footage as it goes up and dropped in evidence. It all keeps it in a centralized location for us. The program, you don't have to buy a license per drone. You only have to buy 2 licenses, 1 for each streaming. So if you fly 2 drones, you have 2 licenses. So the letter I was asking is if the board would be interested in sharing the cost of 1 license with the county. The sheriff's office would pay for the licenses up front. We're just waiting on approval. It was submitted with the capital budget, so we're waiting on approval for the capital budget.
That's with the commissioner's office, not
The
the
commissioner's office, yes. And then the sheriff's office would just invoice the township for the cost of 1 license. Again, like I said, I drew up the letter to kind of explain the program to you, get it out there to you ahead of time for once we move forward with it, if that's something you guys would be willing to do. I can answer any questions about the program. I can demo the program for you through the company that gave me a 90-day free demo of the program. So I've been using the program. They've actually extended it for me through the end of March. So
It's just like a live feed, right?
yeah, so basically what it is currently we have no way of streaming the video from our drones
to anybody outside of the pilot, or HDMI into a TV. So what this would allow us to do is say you have a missing person or anybody, we could take that live stream from that drone and put it out to everybody in the field.
Oh.
The pilot takes off, he pushes the notification, it's preset, it goes out to whoever we have set.
Does that go through an app?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Cape has an app that it goes through on the phone, and then anytime that the drone takes off and the pilot, we can set up certain groups, like we set up a fire department group, we can set up just an admin group, we can set up, you can set it up however you want. You can have as many users on there as you want. And then the pilot picks what group to send that to, and then everybody will have live feed from the drone. You know, we run into an issue right now with the drone where we're up and we see somebody, and we have to direct people in, like, okay, you know, you gotta go to your left, your right. But if they can watch it on the live feed as they're walking to wherever that person may be, you know, they can see where they need to go. There's no confusion. All right, you gotta go left, you gotta go right. Well, which way is the drone pointing? Which way are you standing?
Yeah.
Just streamlines the whole process. Also, it makes it better for command, the sheriff, the fire chief, if we have a large incident where they can sit and watch the feed. We've had incidents where, you know, the pilot is in a location where the administration can't see what's going on the screen. This will give us that ability for command to see it outside of, you know, standing right next to us.
So is Cape the standard software that's commonly used amongst the
So there are
drones, or-
different programs. There's Cape, there's Axon. Cape is a Motorola program, so with that, we already use Motorola for our body cameras and our in-car cameras. So this would allow.
Just better integration.
It'll integrate the video, will integrate into our existing software for redacting, video storage, all that stuff.
Have you spoke to any other sheriff's offices that have utilized this app?
I have
and
not,
software?
there are not too many in the area that are using this current app. I have spoke with a couple representatives from like Ohio Drone Repair, where we purchase most of our stuff. They are aware of it, they have demoed it, they have used it. And
You'd be
it's-
like Stark County would be kind of the leader in this.
in this area,
Pilot
yeah.
program for?
The only one other agency in the area that I know that uses live streaming is Massillon PD from their drone, and they use Axon because they have Axon body cameras.
Right.
So that, again, it's
Yeah.
what integrates with your system. And cost-effective wise, Cape is much more cost-effective. With Axon, you have to buy a license per drone, whereas Cape, you don't have to have, each drone doesn't have to have a license. It's only a matter of how many live streams you want to have at one time, and we don't ever fly more than 2 drones at a time.
Is it difficult to download the app? Is there a certain amount of security? So if you had a command post set up and you had 5 guys that, or, you know, 5 people that didn't have access to that, they could actually download that app there?
Yep.
You could show them how to use it and boom, they're
So what it
good to go.
does is, I would just go into the system, push the notification to them, they would go into their email, click on it, set up their username would be their email, they'd set up their password, download the app off of Android Auto, Google Play, whatever it is, you know, whatever your Apple.
I mean, obviously, I see so many advantages to this. First and foremost, obviously, that's gotta be a lot safer for the officers.
Absolutely, because they're all walking
'Cause-
in blind.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that's one thing, but obviously if it saves a life or it allows us to find somebody, and we're doing, we're looking at a 3-year because it's cheaper that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
we have it in the budget.
Yeah.
They do, it's, each license is $35.88 a year, they have a 3-year contract, and that just saves you. So if the price goes up next year, you're already locked in.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we've done that with,
Yeah, a lot of
yeah,
those.
it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it was put in the capital budget, waiting approval from the county for the capital budget. And I was just, like I said, throwing it out to you guys so that you can be aware of it ahead of time, and then, you know, when it comes down to it, we can
Do a resolution.
Do a resolution.
I mean,
Yeah.
just for comments, I mean, outside of the safety, I would just, as soon as you've got approval, I would be ready to have a resolution on before us for action.
So many positives for it.
Yeah, that's-
I'm looking at the brochure that,
Yeah, it's almost a
and there's, I
no-brainer.
mean, yeah.
And on top of the live stream, which is the main reason, it also keeps awesome records, keeps all my maintenance records for the drones, the batteries, my pilots, licenses, tells me when they're about to due to expire. Same with the registrations on the drones, that all saves in there and lets me know. I don't have to keep it in a drawer and try to figure it out.
I mean, you could use that on all kinds of stuff, you know, a hazmat incident where you have, you know, exclusion zone. You could fly that over and get a better perspective of what might be breached or.
Yeah, it's like a leverage up on first.
You know.
And that price is actually very good, because we looked at one for our drone, and by ourselves, obviously, it was very, very expensive, and it wasn't as secure as that either, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I've looked at a couple of the other ones and cost-wise, plus with our existing system, it made sense to go with Cape.
Do we have to wait on the commissioners or the board at the next meeting, pass a resolution if so be to get us started, or they're brought together, or?
Well, the way it was gonna work was the license, the account would be under the sheriff's office.
Okay.
And
Oh,
then,
that's, yeah,
that way,
okay,
there's not two different accounts trying to merge together.
Yeah.
okay.
And then the sheriff's office could just
Okay.
invoice the.
Yep, once we get the invoice, then,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
If I can say something, I mean, sheriff's office, we're gonna buy both of them. You know, we're just gonna do it, because as Cliff has explained, I'm sorry, Lieutenant Hall's explained it to me, as someone else said, it's a no-brainer. So, we are gonna absolutely buy both of them, I can guarantee you that. If you can help us on it, that'd be much appreciated. One little thing you shared, I'm not trying to take your thunder, that was really an aha for me. We could feed this right into our dispatch center as well. And let's say you get into a sensitive situation, you can immediately kill that feed to them. So people that don't need to see what maybe that drone is gonna pick up inside of a residence or something, you can just shut them down right away.
Wow.
So people aren't sitting there seeing graphic images or anything that they don't need to see.
Yeah, the pilot has full control over who sees what, he can go in and just turn off people.
So,
I'm sorry, I didn't wanna, I just
No,
wanna.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
I would
We like
say-
all the knowledge.
Appreciate the fact you're making the investment regardless.
Yeah.
So, outside of the safety benefits, the fact that we've already invested in drones as well.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like that's an associated investment.
It's the move forward with
Yeah.
technology, absolutely.
Well, by next meeting.
Yeah,
I appreciate your time on
I
that.
think the consensus is, we like it.
And at any time, like I said, I can demo the program for you guys that have it. So I can demo it anytime you guys.
Maybe I should go running through the Monarch Meadows, see if I can get them out.
See if we can find you.
How we can find it.
It's like Amy did with our drone and the pictures of the two deer fighting each other.
Thank you.
All right, next on my list is the annual report. I'm gonna touch some highlights, I'm not, in the interest of time, I'm not gonna go through every page one by one. So on behalf of Sheriff Weisman, we have our 2024 Plain Township Annual Report. We'll just get in for the calls of service. Our calls for service for 2024 for Plain Township. Sorry, the pages stuck together.
It's not too far off from last year.
Yeah, it was not too far from last year. It was, it wasn't bad. But our calls for service without our traffic stops or our crashes counted into it was 14,711, which was down a little bit from 2023, which was 14,993. So not a couple hundred off, not too bad. Our violent crimes pretty much average across the board in our assaults, our domestics, our sex offenses, not much fluctuation. Our robberies were down, however, our shootings and our homicides were up. We had 4 shootings in 2024 and 2 homicides in 2024, so those are up in our violent crimes. Our non-violent crimes, you know, the property crimes and the disturbance and harassments, the suicidal persons, those, they're on par with the last several years, nothing out of crazy there.
What would you attribute the when you look at the suspicious, I mean, going from 477 to 780, would you attribute that to folks just being more alert and
Yes. So-
proactive of?
Yeah, the suspicious counts for suspicious persons, suspicious activities, suspicious cars, and we push out at just about any community event we do. If you see something, say something, we'd rather you call us and come out and, check on something and not do nothing, and then you're not calling and find out your neighbor's house number. So I would say that through just speaking with the community and stuff about calling us and not being afraid to call us, we get that a lot on people, well, I didn't want to call, or no, please call us, that's how we solve crimes, by just these, suspicious activity calls we get. So that is definitely why that's a lot higher. We've been pushing for people to, when they see stuff, to call us so we can investigate it. Our property crimes, again, our breaking and entering, we're down a little bit, same with our burglaries. Stolen vehicles and thefts and vandalism, all pretty on par for the last several years. A little bit of fluctuation in numbers, but nothing too out of there. Our alarm reports was down, from 2024, we're at 723 as of last year, or 2023, we're at 777, so about 50 alarms down. And then the next slide, I did a comparison for 2024 calls of service for other communities at the Sheriff's Office services. Canton Township, Lake Township, and Lex, and Lake. As you can see, as a comparison, in Plain Township, we had 17,805 calls for service, and the next one was in Canton Township, where they only had a little over 6,000 calls for service. Thought that was a pretty interesting comparison to see the level of calls and calls for service that we do in Plain as opposed to the other
Do
communities.
they have at least a dedicated car down at Keene?
No.
Or they've tried pushing it?
I think they've tried that,
They have,
yes, but currently our contracts are with Plain Township, Lexington Township, Pike, Sparta, and Myersburg. So I just thought that was interesting to see the comparison with the other communities in the area that we service. We did 3,234 vacation checks last year, vacation and security checks. As far as our crashes, between us and the state patrol, we had 1,028 crashes for the year. 970 of those were handled by the Sheriff's Office, which left about 58 for the state patrol to handle. So as you can see, we handle, as usual, the majority of the crashes in Plain Township. Property damage crashes with no injuries, it was 806. We had 164 injury crashes and 1 fatality in 2024 for Plain Township. And then our traffic report for traffic stops, we had 2,124 traffic stops with 1,640 citations issued. Obviously, we bought some speed monitoring equipment. We added an extra portable sign that would move around the township, and then we added the 2 dedicated signs, one on Butler Street and one on the brain just stopped working, I'm sorry. Over on the west side here. Our detective's report, he was assigned 93 cases for the year. And then some notable cases from last year, we had Sean Gove for homicide. He served 29 years in prison. William Dolch for negligent homicide. He served 5 years in prison. And then Patrick Edwards had 6 counts of armed robbery. He served 18 years in prison. Attached here is the school report, if you want to take your time to do that. For our school bus operations, we followed 36 bus routes, put in 30 and a half hours of staffing devoted to the operation, and then we contacted just over 1,000 people. It breaks down the different types of calls that occurred in the school.
So I gotta ask in the schools, what technically makes the difference between unruly versus disorderly? That's one and the same to me. I'm just curious, is there something that,
So, it's basically one and the same, unruly and disorderly, we just,
depends on?
just depends on whether there's gonna be charges or not. Sometimes unruly could just be as simple as, they didn't wanna get up and go to school, they didn't wanna, they're just not following the rules. Not
Gotcha.
to say committing a crime, they're just, they're not to the point where they're disorderly, they're just not following the rules. But I'll clarify that a little bit.
Yeah, that helps, I just,
Yeah, no problem. And we have some community activities, just added some photos from different community events that we attended. Our dog warden division, if anybody has any questions about that. Our drone program, as you know, Plain Township purchased 2 drones. We now currently have 2 drone pilots assigned to Plain Township. Myself and Sergeant Little, who recently was transferred into Plain Township as of January. He is also a certified drone pilot for our office. We held 2 OVI checkpoints in Plain Township. As far as our vehicle reports, the new Dodge Durangos, one of them was placed into service in November. The other 2 should be in service here in the next 2 weeks. I'm just waiting on some finishing touches on those with the decals, and then we should hopefully get those into service, which will then replace a total of 3 cars. 2 of them have over 100,000 miles. And our dispatching services, we have 23 dispatchers, 1 TAC officer, 1 supervisor, and 1 intel analyst that looks through video feed, monitors cameras and stuff for us. All the highlights of it, I'd like to, on behalf of the sheriff, I'd like to thank the Plain Township community and the board of trustees for their trust in the sheriff's office. And we look forward to our continued partnership with the safety of the township.
Thank
If you have
you,
any
we appreciate
questions, I'm
everything.
happy to answer any.
No, that was very self-explanatory,
Yep.
thank you, not very detailed.
Good,
Okay.
thanks for getting that out early. I had a chance to look at it and go through it early, so
I tried.
that helps. Thanks.
So that'll conclude the sheriff's report, takes us to the fiscal officer's report, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in the amount of $246,280.53.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes,
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $300,000.
So moved.
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
yes,
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
So moved.
second,
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
yes,
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is a resolution to authorize the following transfer of funds.
So moved.
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
yes,
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a resolution to authorize a refund as follows for overpayments of EMS.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
yes,
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a resolution to authorize a true-up payment to the State of Ohio BWC of $4,784.
So moved.
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
yes,
Fiscal Officer number 7 is a resolution to authorize payment of the 2024 real estate tax and special assessment invoices of the Stark County Treasurer for a total amount of $18,258.98 from the following funds.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mrs. Harless?
yes,
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 8 is a request for a liquor license from Tugboats Pub LLC located at 2710 Easton Street Northeast, Suite D, Canton, Ohio, 44721.
We haven't.
Yeah, that's.
That's essentially the old.
Yeah, that's over there,
Yeah.
so.
No issues.
Bourbon Road, yeah.
Yeah.
Should be good to move forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Fiscal Officer number 9 is a resolution to authorize payment in the amount not to exceed $3,807.40 taken from Fund 1,110,500 to reimburse operating costs of the Canton Municipal Court for Plain Township's proportionate share as attached.
So moved.
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 10 is a resolution to approve placement of the 2024 Plain Township Annual Financial Report legal ad as prepared by the Plain Township Fiscal Officer in a newspaper published in Stark County in the general circulation in Township, the repository, on February 24th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And fiscal officer number 11 is a resolution to provide for the current expenses and other expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025. The following sums are hereby set aside and appropriated for the several purposes for which expenditures are to be made for and during said fiscal year as follows.
So moved.
Second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And that concludes the fiscal officer report.
Okay, that'll move us to the administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a resolution to authorize the sale of the 2011 Dodge Nitro to the Stark County Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a resolution for false alarms in excess of 3 responses pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 505.511.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
And that's the end of the administrator report.
Fire Department, Chief.
Thank you. Item number 1 is our monthly report.
A lot of people doing water rescue this
Yeah.
month.
I just want to say, thanks to Royce's Nursery for allowing us to use their facility and the Harmont Lake
Yeah.
Association for the boat ramp over there. So, this year we had good ice, so we were able to do a little more training, so we had 3 or 4 days of it.
Nice.
I think Stark Park guys were doing something at SIPO, weren't they, or?
Yeah, there's.
Did I hear?
So,
Yeah. Of course, Canton guys everybody's doing it now. Good job.
okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to accept the resignation of Emily Phelps as a part-time firefighter EMT effective February 6, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
That concludes fire department.
Thank you. It's gonna take us to the Road Department. Drew?
Thank you. Road item number 1 is the monthly report. And what you'll see on the front there is Chris Wood, he's training Caleb Maley on his CDL test. He'll be taking it Thursday. So he'll be the 3rd person that we've trained in-house.
Good luck. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Road item number 2 is a resolution to advertise bids for the Plain Township paving and road repair project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, I just wanna hope that the prices come in really good, because when you take a look at your forecasted miles and secondary, I remember when I come, and I think we were maybe 5.5 to 7, and then we got all the way up to 18, and I know we're not all the way down to where we're at, but again, all these costs just over time is, to see where we've come back to. We're still doing respectable mileage, but
We think that they're gonna probably be about the same as last year. The AC price did not move from last year to now.
Okay.
That's the biggest component in asphalt is the AC. So, yeah, we're thinking it's gonna be pretty close to last year.
good. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Thank you. Road item number 3 is a resolution to hire Logan Burek as full-time probationary new hire in the road department effective March 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Thank you. Road item number 4 is a resolution to hire Kyle Jordanides as a full-time probationary new hire, no Class A or tanker endorsement in the road department, effective date of February 18th, 2025.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes road.
Okay, that's gonna take us to zoning, which Tom's out, it's just the monthly
Monthly report, so.
report, so unless anybody's got questions, we'll move to Parks Department. Rob?
Thanks. The only item I have is the monthly report.
We'll say it's been exciting having dinner back here, some here folks talking literally about buying passes. and looking forward
They're coming
to
in.
the-
Yeah.
To the show, so.
We're already 7 passes short of what we sold all of last year for season passes, and 23 of our 40 fire pits are already sold.
Good.
They're coming.
Good work. Okay, any questions for Rob? Okay, nothing in the law director, nothing communications, public speaks, I see nobody. Concerns of trustees? Concerns of the fiscal officer?
No concerns.
Takes us to the approval of the minutes for January 14th, 2025. I will so move.
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Then I'm going to move on the approval of the minutes for January 27th, 2025.
Second.
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Then I will move on the approval of the special meeting minutes for January 27th, 2025.
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
We do have a need for executive session. So be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn the executive session at 6:32 PM from the regular meeting is authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose of the consideration of 1F, the compensation of a public employer official for preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Second?
Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mrs. Harless?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.